Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. Just saw Thorns horror film. I don't think this is going to be playing in every theater, but it was playing here at Regal Cinema in Jacksonville. And I think I saw it advertised on Facebook because I just think that's where I saw it, basically. Doug Bradley, who we all know and love as Pinhead from the Hellraiser films. A friend of mine actually wrote two of the sequels. Carl Dupree wrote two of the Pinhead's Hellraiser sequels. But Mr. Bradley, Doug, is in this. And should you see this movie, should you not? If you're a horror aficionado, like as in you go to horror conventions, yeah, I think you can see this one. If you're not, if you're kind of just, a person who goes to mainstream films, and maybe the occasional horror film, I don't think so. I think this one you have to be kind of like a horror what's the fucking word? Connoisseur, a horror connoisseur, a horror soarer. How's that? A horror. If you could combine horror and connoisseur into one big word, horror connoisseur, horror soarer. That's what you would need to be. I believe the name was Douglas Schultz, was listed as the writer and director, and I believe a female name, I want to say Julia Schultz, seemed like the producer. And I kind of have a feeling, folks, and I don't, need to break the fourth wall here, but from the beginning of this movie, I kind of had a vibe, based on my own experience, that this is one of those kind of low-budget horror films that's trying its best to seem like a high-budget horror film, succeeding for the most part. I mean, the film did look really nice. The effects were great. At times, however, and the opening shots, why do I say such a thing, Mike? Well, I kind of know for several reasons. Some of the clues, okay, blues clues here, that it's kind of, putting first and foremost, Doug Bradley is in this movie, so they know that that's a horror aficionado's favorite. So they kind of have him in this movie, but the scenes that he's in, basically we start off with him on a phone, like a video chat on a phone. Then we see him later in a, where do they put the priest, like a confessional thing in a church? Then we see him, spoilers by the way, then we see him later on in a television, where his image and voice is being kind of, projected to another character. So basically, every time we see Mr. Bradley here, with the exception of the confessional scene where they have the lead actor with him, it feels as if he's in a vacuum, meaning that the actual actor filming these scenes is not required to really be interacting with a whole lot of other actors. He's doing a great job with his performance. He seems like he's got his lines fully memorized, and he's got conviction, and he's very good. He's a great actor, okay? But it doesn't seem like they really... it seems like one of these low-budget horror film tricks, because I've been on some of these sets. They basically hired this guy for one day. It was probably a long day. It was probably a 10 to 12-hour day. They paid him a fair amount of money. And they put him in a nice hotel, and they fed him with respect, and he shook hands and was a gentleman. And I'm not going to say it's not hard to do that, but if you've got the cash, baby, you can get a guy like Mr. Doug Stradley, or you can get Tony Todd or Robert Englund. Like all these horror classic guys, they love to work, they love to get paid, they love to be treated well. They know that they have a fan base. They know that just even a guy like Eric Roberts, as great as he is, if you've got, you don't have to mortgage your whole house, but if you've got a chunk of change to hire one of these gentlemen to be in your film, you can hire one of these gentlemen to be in your film. And that's great. Now, once we have our kind of horror guy cemented, once as a building block to get asses in the seats like you got mine, does the movie hold up? Well, another little trick of the trade is that the movie starts off with a couple of, the fucking little ships that go in the sky. I'm drawing a blank here. I'm having a little amnesia. The little fucking, not the crane, but the fucking, God, what are those fucking things? You know, the little monster fucking thing. You put a camera in it and it flies in the air and it takes the image. It's a camera. God, it's the flying fucking camera thing that everybody has now. God, I'm just drawing a blank on the fucking name. Not crane. Oh, it's driving me up the fucking wall. You know what I'm talking about. When you have like the little helicopter, you know what I mean? And it fucking has the camera in it. So basically they have a couple of those shots at the beginning. Actually, they were really nice shots. They showed like a snowy terrain. Like the priest guy is driving through this fucking snow and everything. And that was all. Now it's just driving me nuts. Whatever that fucking word is, which we use it all the time now. Drawing, and I can't check the goddamn phone because I'm using the goddamn phone to talk to you people. Anyway, so we see a couple of these shots, you know, high overhead. The shots look good. So whether it was Schultz or one of his associates or the cinematographer did a nice job. We get into the movie, and it's another one of these. You know, is this our universe? Is this a parallel universe just like ours? An alternate reality? There's outer space stuff going on. The church is sticking its nose in the outer space, which I thought was an interesting concept. What happens when the space world, you know, and the religious people try to get involved in that? Okay, interesting stuff. And then we kind of find out that we've got basically a singular contained horror film, which means most of the film is shot on one location, which is fine. And we have a pretty limited cast here, basically 3 principal actors for the most part. Actually 4. We have our priest guy, we have our nun lady, we have, oh God, I'm drawing all these goddamn blanks. The name of the Halloween psychiatrist, I think they use as a doctor here. Dr. Marquise or whatever the fuck. I'm drawing a blank on all these goddamn things. Maybe I've been infected by the monster. So, whatever the fuck. But basically, the doctor has been kind of possessed or infested with this creature. That's the creature you see in the picture for Thorns. He's all crazy and he's got like a fucking thorns on his face. Early in the movie, we see this guy getting attacked, consumed. He's pulling out his fucking eyeballs, which is disturbing to me. As you know, I will, anytime you shoot someone in the stomach or in the chest, I'm fine with it. Decapitation on camera is not bad. But when you start like slashing hands, like when hands get like stabbed and ankles and feet, and then I guess I have another thing. I don't like eye attacks, like when eyes, I don't like that. So I had to kind of hide, okay? But anyway, I guess, and this is going to, be at the risk of burning some bridges, because I could see myself working with these fine folks, the Schultz and Associates, Douglas Schultz, and I'm assuming his wife or his sister or maybe his daughter, who knows. But I wasn't too captivated by the lead actor. I said it, mic drop. The guy playing the priest, I thought, I don't want to say he was miscast. I think he may have had issues acting with stuff that wasn't there. Basically, when you're doing one of these movies with a lot of effects, you are acting sometimes with green screen stuff. There's really nothing there for you to act off of. It's a challenge. And also, I think his character was a challenge because he's kind of a stoic character. Spoiler. It's revealed that his destiny is to be the Pale Rider of the apocalypse. So maybe that explains his devoidness of emotion. But he didn't captivate me, quite honestly. Okay? And there's also this thing, and I've known this before, but I heard this radio chat yesterday, a podcast, where if you are familiar with people, Lady Gaga or Nick Nolte or Robert De Niro, familiarity actually does not breed contempt. It breeds fondness, okay? So when people are famous for being famous, a Kardashian or whoever the fuck, even a Donald Trump, you become more fonder of these people the more you see them. So hence, maybe this fine gentleman, who I don't know who he is, this guy that played the priest, maybe he's doing fine. But I'm just, had the same performance been done by a Harrison Ford or Robert Downey Jr., someone I'd seen a million times, maybe I'd be more forgiving. But I just didn't feel like the emotion was there. And like I said, I get it. He's playing what's supposed to be the Pale Rider, a former priest, all this good stuff. I just felt like he didn't hook me. The nun, I thought she kind of hooked me. I thought the nun did a nice job. And the Thorns creature guy did a good job. And, Doug Bradley there, former Pinhead, he was great. And I see what they did. They basically paid him for a day's work, maybe two, but I would kind of think they if they had their shit together, which I think they did. Basically, watching this film, I kept thinking, this is probably a $200,000 and low-budget film in the SAG sense, at least a few years ago, was $200,000 and less. It might have raised, inflation has raised, maybe that's going up to $300,000 or $250,000. But you could actually make a fairly decent film for $200,000, and with the advanced technologies and editing and so forth, and at times early in this movie especially, I felt like it was a game of show-off. Like, let's show all the fucking things we can do with the shots, whatever that helicopter shot is, whatever the fuck, I'm drawing a blank. With the special effects, the editing, it did feel like this director and whoever edited, maybe it was his wife, sister, whoever, it felt like they were showing off all our tricks, which is fine. However, storytelling comes first, and beyond that, casting sometimes. And no offense, I'm sure that the priest gentleman actor might be watching this. He might be getting upset. He might be praying. He might be swearing at me. But I have to be honest, okay? So there you go, folks. So like I said, should you see it? Should you not? I think if you're a horror buff, because horror people are basically like pro wrestling fans, they will see everything in the genre. So whatever I say, it doesn't really matter. You're either going to see it or you're not. And you might find this review as confirmation bias. And I give this thing like a 3-star type of deal. Funnily, see, that's the thing. Jacksonville, where I live, has a lot of cool stuff going on, but a lot of people just don't know about the stuff going on. There was not a lot of people in this theater tonight. I got in there. There was a couple, okay? I think they probably, like, just judging them, like, they got up and left at a certain point in the film, and it was one of the more brutal attacks. I think they thought they were going to go see a religious movie, and instead they're seeing a horror movie. So I think they got kind of freaked out. That's another thing with this. I kind of had the feeling, without even knowing any of these people, I'm just making up these stories, but it kind of felt like this Schultz character was probably someone that was like into horror film first, and then somehow got into Christianity a few years ago, and then he had this marvelous idea. I'm going to use my knowledge of horror to create a religious film that's going to teach people stuff. And then he did, okay? So it's all a warning. It's all a metaphor. Very good. What else? I don't know if horror and Christian advocacy or warnings of mankind's failure, it comes off, it's fine, but it does come off heavy-handed. And at least for me, I didn't sit there and say, oh my God, now life makes sense and I'm going to go out and be a better person. It's like, okay, that's the movie. A friend of mine told me how the Insane Clown Posse had like this whole gimmick for years and years about what they're who is the great Malenko and who this, that, and the other. And then the big surprise, like their 8th or 9th album is, it's been God all along. And, like the fucking Insane Clown Posse fans were like, what the fuck? So, that's kind of where we're at with this. What else? Like I said, it's a good movie. It's not a great movie. I think, and it's kind of a weird kind of half compliment, half insult, I guess, but not supposed to be. I'm just saying, I had the feeling, based on what I saw in this movie, it felt like a low-budget movie that was looking like a really well made, like they did a good job of making the production values all they could get type of thing. There was one little moment that I think I saw where there's like a hallway and there's like air coming through the hallway and all these like things on the side of the hallway are kind of fluttering. Like, I don't know if they're index cards or postcards on the side of the walls. And then they shot to the reverse angle and they were all just sitting there, not fluttering. And then they go back and they were fluttering. So I don't know if that was a mistake or whatever. But like I said, I mean, the movie is good. But I try to give these reviews as if, you know, I'm getting more critical, first of all. But I'm trying to give these reviews like, what did I enjoy, and then what would other people enjoy? And I would have to say that I think that this one is strictly for the horror, like the hardcore horror connoisseurs, not even like the people that'll go see, you know, Exorcist 5 or whatever the fuck, or A Quiet Place 2. You have to have like one step beyond. You have to have been going to conventions and you have to know all these kind of actors and so forth. That's my thoughts. MikeMessier.com. You can always go to One Man and a Camera Films and watch Disregard the Vampire, Mike Messier documentary, Many Keys, The Heartbreak Monologue. You can see my efforts in horror and you can judge me and you can ridicule my films, okay? So that's it. Or you can enjoy them. So that's it. That's my thoughts. Nice efforts, people, Schultz's. And I'm sure you'll be making more films, and I'm sure I'll be seeing them. So good job.